If you are in business and it is taking an emotional toll on you and you are burning out, you're stressed out, and you are underperforming, then listen up. This is going to point out exactly why that is happening. And after building many businesses, making millions myself, and working with so many entrepreneurs and founders, it is ridiculously clear as to why majority of business owners burn out and fail within business in the first 5 to 10 years. Actually, the first 2 to 5 years, to be honest. And why some can build these unbelievable businesses and they live a great lifestyle and they're healthy and they're fit and they've got great relationships. Why is it? It's not intelligence, that's for sure. It's not that they were born under some special star. That is absolute. They just do things differently. And I will show you exactly how that is done at a principle level. And you're going to be able to ask yourself so easily, and you're going to see so clearly as to why you're either burning out or why you have a successful and sustainable business. All right, so let's go through this. It's a really great exercise. So first one is a burnout business. The second one is a freedom business. Now you have to work out which one you live in and which one you have. Do you have a burnout business or do you have a freedom business? Ask yourself, which one? All right, let's go through them. So the first one, let's look at your marketing or lead generation. Let's keep it really, really simple. Marketing is one or two things. You're either generating leads or you're building a brand. Now, ultimately, even a brand still comes back to lead generation because that's what we want. We want to generate interest into our business so we can sell them our products and services that ultimately add massive amount of value to those people's or those businesses' lives, right? So the first one is marketing. Now, if you're in a burnout business, your marketing or lead generation is random and inconsistent. What do I mean by that? It means that you don't know how to generate leads consistently and predictable. It means that they're coming in at random times, random moments, through random sources, and it's just completely the easiest way to analyze it is, are your leads predictable and consistent? Yes or no? Simple as that. If they are not, you are going to have stress and anxiety within your business because you're never going to be able to predict your income, and you're always going to have expenses, whether it's time or money. And without those lead generation, predictable lead generation, it will create stress, and stress always leads to burnout. The next one is sales. Actually, let's go through it this way. Let's go marketing and we'll look at a burnout business. Then we'll go, well, what does a freedom business look like? I think that will be more appropriate and helpful. All right. So freedom business, over to here. In a freedom business, your leads are predictable. You know exactly how to generate your leads, whether that's a cost or a campaign or an activity, whatever it is, or multiple activities. That's ultimately what you want. You want multiple predictable activities generating consistent and predictable leads, high quality leads. Without that, how do you build a business over the long term without the stress? Impossible. And the next one is that they're system generated. You know, if you pull this lever, you're going to get this. You know, if you turn on this tap, you're going to get X amount of leads followed through. They're going to be quality, they're going to be checked, vetted, and they ultimately are going to move into your sales process in a high quality way. That is a freedom business because think about it. If you had that, would you be less stressed? Or would you take away all the stress of the random and inconsistent activity of no leads or inconsistent leads? I think the answer is yes. I know the answer is yes. So think about that for a second. Which one are you? Second one is sales. Now, sales, let's be honest. Income in business is your oxygen. If your oxygen tank runs out, it's over. So sales is oxygen. Remember that and obsess over that because there are so many, what I have been taught by Tony Robbins, there's many people get into business because they're passionate about what they do. And that's great. They're passionate about yoga. They're passionate about, whatever it is, building, poetry, anything, content online, whatever it may be. They're a passionate entrepreneur. The challenge with that is that they generally don't come with a high sales drive. They love their product, they love helping people, they love serving people, they love doing what they do in their business as the artist. But they do not like selling. And this is a major chokehold on the business because sales is the oxygen of the business, right? So let's have a look at it. A burnout business, sales will be delivered on hope and they'll be founder driven. Okay, so what does that mean? Hope. Okay, I hope when an inconsistent lead comes in, I don't have any process. I just either show up to the house and talk to them about my blinds or about my carpentry or about my tax services or about, whatever, my tinting business, my anything business, right? Think about all the businesses that are out there and put yourself in that category. My business does, and this is how I sell. I sell on hope. I go there and I say what I'm passionate about and what I think we can do for them, and I hope that they say yes. A freedom business is predictable. I know if I use this sales script or this sales process and I talk to this amount of people, I will absolutely close based on data X percentage. So I need to knock on, and this is famous for real estate agents, is that I need to knock on 10 doors, I need to get 8 no's because I know that I will close or get a listing at 20%. It's predictable. I know my math, I know my script, I know what to do. So every 10 doors that I knock on and speak to someone, I get 2 listings. So if I need 6 listings, I knock on 30 doors. That is a predictable business. For the burnout business, it's hope. Okay, yes, when I do talk to this person, okay, I'm going to tell them all about my product that I'm really passionate about and I think it can help them because I love it and I hope that they say yes and I hope I get a sale. And if I don't really know what to do. I just kind of go on to my next thing and just hope that another sale comes through. Which one are you? Ask yourself. Do you have a predictable system that's also team driven? And it can be founder driven here as well if you love sales. If sales juices you up and gives you energy and motivation and you feel great doing sales, then fantastic. That's really good because no one's ever going to sell as great as the founder. The challenge is that most people the majority of people that get into business, they don't get into business because they love sales. They get into business because they love their product. So the sales becomes a massive problem. It's founder driven and hope driven, and it always leads to burnout. So but ask yourself, if you are a freedom business, you will have at a minimum these 2. It will be predictable and it will be team driven. That's sales. All right, moving on. Again, assess yourself. Where do you live in these 2? Are you burnout? Maybe you're a freedom business in sales, but you're a burnout business in marketing. Again, it doesn't mean because of you're a burnout in one that you can't be a freedom in another, okay? What we want to find out is where are you in each of these sections, and then how do we close the gap to move you over? And I'm just assuming that you want to be in a freedom business that generates cash flow, generates a lifestyle, and gives you freedom and peace of mind rather than stress and basically a risky job. All right, moving down to finance. So what do people do in burnout businesses? They look at their finances yearly, maybe. And when I say yearly, maybe, what they're doing most of the time is they're getting their tax return from their accountant that they might talk to once a year or twice a year here or there, or they might just have passing conversations randomly with their accountant, and they might review, and I'm guilty of this, and I've spoken to many people, they might review, they basically just ask, do I have to pay any tax, or how much tax do I have to pay? And if the number's okay, then they'll just pay it. If the number's exorbitant, they'll find out a little bit more information. But if the number is, or they kind of break even in their business, they're not paying too much tax, they just kind of just get on with it and just pay the tax and get on with whatever it is that they're doing in their business. They do not sit down and, again, TR, tax return, this is where they're doing it. Their yearly tax return is basically their number one mechanism for financial review. This is why they're in a burnout business. A freedom business, on a weekly or a monthly. I know many people, many high-level entrepreneurs are doing it weekly. I know people, high-level entrepreneurs who do it daily. Not always necessary, depending on the level that you're at. But let's say weekly or monthly is healthy, that's for sure. Monthly as a minimum is healthy, okay? They're also looking at their financials in a detailed way that are getting getting calculated now by AI. Let's be honest, AI is fantastic when it comes to financials. So you don't necessarily need a bookkeeper or a full-time CFO or anything like that now. You can produce your financials so cleanly and so precisely through AI now, there really is no excuse. But rather than telling you what to do, this is what a freedom business is doing. They are looking at their financials on a weekly or monthly basis in detail. They know their profit and loss, they know their margins, they know what it costs to generate a lead, they know what it costs to generate a sale, they know what they're producing, they know their lifetime value of a client, they know all the detail in the figures so they can create predictable results using that data. That financial data is like, again, if you are not using it, you are doomed in the world of business. Because what is business? Financial, they say the finances are the language of business. If you don't talk finances, and I'm not an accountant, I'm not wrapped up about finances. I don't love looking at finances, but it is the language of business. And if you are not doing it consistently, then you have no understanding of the story or the game that you're in, okay? So, burnout business, this is what they're doing randomly, yearly, and it's low level and it's just tax return sort of conversations. Freedom businesses are reviewing weekly, minimum monthly, and they're detailed reviews of the high level line items at a minimum for your business. So question becomes is, which one are you? All right, moving on to product. So, a burnout business, they usually have some form of stale, okay product offering. They offer the same sort of thing. When I say stale, what do I kind of mean by that? They offer what everyone else offers. They offer the same tax return. They offer the same painting service. They offer the same massage service. They offer the same, it's just same. It's the same old. There's no real competitive advantage. There's no real sort of, competitive edge. There's no spark, that there's no special sauce that makes them different or unique or more powerful or more whatever it is. And that can be done in a million different ways. It's not just price, or it's not just what it does. There's convenience, there's customer service around it. There's a million ways to make your product unique, special, more valuable, more appealing, right? But the burnout business, they usually offer just the same old sort of vanilla service that everyone else does. And secondly, it's just uncompetitive. And what I mean by that, it's just not, again, I could bring in however many sort of painters to give me quotes, and it's uncompetitive. And you might compete on price a little bit, but that's still not real competition, because we know based on, people's buying behavior worldwide, why do majority of people buy iPhones? They're not the cheapest. Because people don't buy on price. They buy on many other factors, which we'll go into in another video. But ultimately, a burnout business is uncompetitive. It's vanilla. All right, a freedom business, what does that have? It's highly competitive. It has many different ways of making itself competitive in the marketplace. Again, price just being one. Customer service, convenience, it's aftercare service, it's pre-care service, it's just a million ways of doing it, of making it more valuable. How are you more valuable and competitive in the marketplace? And it's innovation driven. It's constantly looking at how does it improve its product. If you look at the largest companies on the planet and what makes them that way, they didn't just get there by chance. If you look at, again, we'll just use gross examples of like Tesla. Every time I see a Tesla drive by, it's a new shape and model. Crazy, right? But it's innovation driven. It is, if you listen to anything that Elon says, he's always talking about the next iteration and the future and what's coming and what's happening and why it's exciting and why the consumer would want it and why people are going to pay for it and why. What is he doing with his product? He didn't just release an electric car and go, you know what, cool, it's a car, it's electric, you know, that's great, guys, go buy it forever and I'm just going to kick back. It never happens ever. So the only thing that is going to get you freedom in your business and long-term sustainability is if you innovate and you are highly competitive. And not just that, we live in a world now where it's a global marketplace. We are not living in, okay, I'm just going to open up a local, milk bar. Remember milk bars as an example? Gone. Like, remember Blockbuster? Gone. Remember Kodak? Gone. Remember a lot of these small and big companies that are just gone? Big box retailers are wiping the floor of these mum and dad small businesses because they're just uncompetitive. They can't compete. They don't have as much range. They don't have as good prices. They don't have as good customer service. They don't brand as well. They're not in convenient locations, etc. So if you are not highly competitive and innovation driven, your time is limited. Okay, moving on to HR, human resources, team, whatever you want to call that, right? The first one, a burnout business, is random. It's random hire. Oh, okay. Shit, we're under pressure. We're under stress. Okay. Let's get in a new XYZ. Let's get in a new assistant or a new, apprentice or a new technician or a new engineer or whatever it may be. Let's get someone to solve this problem that's just come up that's causing me stress. Random. And there's lack of progression. Lack of progression for that person that comes in. It's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, Johnny, thanks for joining the team. Really good to have you. Here's your role over here. Here's your desk. Here's what you're doing. Fantastic. And Johnny has no direction. He has no clear map of the future as to what's going to incentivize him, why he's going to work hard, why he's going to stay at the company for a long period of time, why he's going to do his best work over the longest period of time. There's none of that. It's random hiring at random times and there is no progression, direction, or map for that individual. For a freedom business, it's systemized. We know exactly. We're bringing in X amount of leads, X amount of clients. Our expansion map looks like this. Our product innovation looks like this. We're going to need these types of people in these types of positions on these type of timeline. We know exactly or thereabouts what we need to or who we need to hire, when and why. From there, we have a very clear progression and roadmap for that individual. They know exactly where they're going to go, where they're going to start, what they're going to do, how they're onboarded, and then what the opportunity is within that company. And that is why you see people stay in these big organizations for long periods of time, from banks to whoever, major retailers, because they start at the ground floor, they start at the teller at the bank, but they know if I work hard for this long, I'm going to see these sort of bonuses, these sort of incentives, these sort of job promotions, these sort of opportunities within this company. In burnout businesses that are just random, there's none of that. You've got to go with your hat in hand and you've got to go beg to the employer and you've got to say to them, I need a pay rise or what's next for me. And they're going to, sometimes bite back and, we can't afford it right now, or yeah, I'll think about that, or I'll get back to you, and then they don't get back to you, and there's just no clarity, no certainty. That person is going to leave, you're going to get stressed, you're going to burn out. But when you've got a high performance team that knows exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and if they do it, they've got clear incentives to move in that direction, you're going to have much more loyal, much more high performing team members. All right. So that is a very, I would say, clear snapshot. Like, it can't get any clearer than that. It's yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So the question now becomes is, which one are you in these areas? And if you are scattered across the two, cool, no problem. Which one do you need to improve on? Which ones are your strengths and which ones are your weaknesses? Or secondly, if you are clearly in this side, the left side of the burnout business in all these areas, then your time is limited in business. Simple as that. If you have ticked all these boxes and you're in a freedom business and you've got these, then you are sitting on a fantastic asset And you should be very proud of yourself. So well done on that. That's awesome. You have a great asset, protect it, double down in these areas, and plan for an exit when it suits you. Because no business lasts forever, right? I mean, I don't think there's any. So if that's the case, then eventually your business will get hit by something, whether it's governmental change, black swan event, COVID, whatever, any of these things. Prepare and get ready for an exit, because if you have these kind of things within your business, you genuinely have a saleable asset. If you're on this side, you do not have an asset, you have a risky job, and you are leading to burnout. Now, if you do need help moving from this side to this side, that's exactly what Founder Fit does. We get you fit as a founder, and we get your business to become a scalable asset. We work on you as the founder and the systems of the business simultaneously, because ultimately, if you're in this side of the business, the founder is the business. So first of all, you need to make sure that you are fit enough to be a founder. And I don't mean physical, that's a part of it, but I mean mentally, physically, emotionally, skillfully fit to move from the left side to the right side. All right, guys, that's it. If you do want to work with us, there's a link below, and we'll jump on a very quick call. That call goes for 60 minutes, and you're going to get so clear on where your blockages are, where your challenges are within your business. And then we just create a very realistic roadmap and system to implement those things into your business. And then you will ultimately have a freedom-based business that you can scale or exit or both. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.